On, guys. All right, we have an awesome show tonight. We got 6 members of the panel coming on to do a live NFL draft, so stay tuned.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic, this ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on goingfor2.com. Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started, that ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join. Going for 2, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, goingfor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 141 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Presented, as always, by goingfor2.com. We are live every Tuesday night. Tonight is a special night. We are live on Sunday. We're always live on YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. I'm here tonight with 6 panel members, actually 5, including myself, so there's 6 of us total. So let's go ahead and just meet them really quick. We'll meet the drafters, and then we'll get into some of this draft stuff. So first up, drafting for the Bengals, Cardinals, Jags, Seahawks, and his very own Vikings, Mr. Matt Sandell. Matt, how you doing tonight, man?
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with all of you, except for Gerson, of course.
All right, good stuff. All right, drafting for the Titans, Chiefs, Broncos, Browns, and his very own Raiders, the aforementioned Mr. Gerson. Gerson, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. You're good, man. I'm excited.
Good stuff. All right, drafting for the Dolphins, Cowboys, Jets, and his very own Packers, Tim Strobel. What's up, Tim?
Hey, man, happy to be back for another year. You know, I look forward to this podcast all year long with, ready to get started. Let's go.
Good stuff. Drafting for the Panthers, the Bucks, Falcons, Giants, and Lions, and admin of the Fantasy Holics Facebook group, Mr. Jordan, and I can't pronounce your last name, Jordan. How do you say it?
Jicha.
All right, Jordan Jicha. That's pretty easy to remember. All right, and finally, y'all know him. We've been on the show quite a while here. Ryan Cearfoss, my co-host, he's drafting for the Patriots, the Redskins, the Chargers, the Eagles, and the Saints, and of course his very own Ravens. Ryan, how you doing tonight, man?
Fantastic. Ready for our, 6th annual draft?
Technically, it's the 6th annual, the very first annual one. The audio got lost, but I'm still counting it, so it's our 6th annual.
I wasn't on it, so
me
it
and Matt
count
killed
today.
it, just for the record.
Yes, it was just Matt and
Our
Tim.
hit rate was off the chart.
Yeah, Matt and Tim were the only ones. I mean, I think we had 100% hit rate, right, guys? Isn't that what it was? We got every single pick right?
Maybe like 80.
Yeah, 80%? Yeah, I think that's what it was. All right, good stuff. All right, so just a couple things with the mock. Obviously, it's all live. This is not scripted, so you can get sniped. No trading, obviously. And then we'll just kind of go pick through pick and, give us your synopsis on it and why you made that pick for that team. Y'all ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Rock.
So let's kick it off with the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Cincinnati Bengals select Matt. You are up. You got the Bengals, man. What you got?
Pretty easy one here, Jeff. I mean, all the mock drafts, anything you look at, obviously, if you see anybody other than Joe Burrow, they're just trying to get attention. But, it looks like all signs point to quarterback out of LSU. He is coming off virtually the best college season any player has ever had. Set records for passing yards, touchdowns, FBS records, won a national championship, won the Heisman, and now he's going to be the first overall pick. I mean, you can't have a better season than that. He's going to make a ton of money playing for the Bengals. But just the fact that he was a transfer from Ohio State, basically the third string over there, for him to go from, he probably wouldn't have been drafted if he hadn't transferred. He may have been a 7th round pick. Going from that to the first overall pick is incredible. It's an incredible turnaround. Probably one of the biggest ones we've seen. And then my last point here before I wrap it up is, the one thing that worries me a little bit is if the season does get played this year, God forbid, it doesn't, he will be 24 in December. And for a first overall pick as a rookie being 24, you're basically knocking 3 years off your pro career like that because he was a transfer and everything like that. Guys like Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Tua, all of them are like 2-3 years younger than him. So that's the one gripe that I have with Joe Burrow is he's going to be 24 this year. But other than that, I think it's a slam dunk pick.
Yeah, I agree. I know we've had some history here with going against the grain with the number one pick. Gerson famously picked Baker Mayfield number one overall a couple years ago, a month before the draft, and we were right on that one. But I think if you go against the grain here, like Matt said, you're probably just trying to get attention. I think it's Joe Burrow, for sure on this one. All right, next up, the Redskins. And Mr. Ryan, you got the Redskins, man. Are you going against the grain here with the Redskins?
No, absolutely not. I'm taking Chase Young here. Chase Young is a game changer on defense. He's the face of your defense. He had 16.5 sacks last year. He's disruptive. He gets after the quarterback. He gets the ball loose. He forced 6 fumbles with all those sacks he had, and he's done it for 3 years. And he's been the best edge rusher they've had at Ohio State on defensive lines that have been loaded with the Bosa twins and some of those other guys. You can't pass on a talent like that. And he's not only the best player in the draft, he's probably the safest and has the most upside.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people consider him the best prospect overall, even better than Joe Burrow. So I think that this is a no-brainer pick here. You can't pass up this kind of talent, I believe. I think the Redskins are kind of playing coy here with, talking about Tua and, they may move up and get Joe Burrow, all this crap that they're talking about here. I live in Washington, D.C., so I hear all of it, but it's all smoke and mirrors. I think it's Chase Young all the way, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Next up at the number 3 pick is the Detroit Lions. And Jordan, you actually got back-to-back picks here because you got the Giants as well with the next pick.
Yep.
So go ahead and give us your Lions pick here. What you got?
All right, I got to make sure I don't snipe myself here, but I'm going to take Jeff Okudah from Ohio State, the cornerback. I think in Matt Patricia's system, it's very important to have a strong secondary. You saw it in New England with Gilmore, McCourty, Revis previously in New England. So the Lions secondary really struggled last season. They obviously lost Slade to the Eagles now. So I think they really have to replenish that secondary in order to rebuild that defense. So, he has a ton of talent. He really has everything that you want in a shutdown corner, great recovery speed. So I expect them to take Okudah. This is where the draft gets interesting, though. Somebody may trade up for Tua. And if the Lions can trade back a few spots, pick up some extra picks, they could still maybe pick up Okudah or Brown, and I think that'd be the smart way to go. But if they do hold on to the pick, I think Okudah is a good choice.
All right, yeah, I won't even pretend to know anything about the defensive side of things because as a fantasy player, I don't even look at the defensive side. So I'm just going to take your word for it that he's one of the top cornerbacks there, and I agree. I think the Lions do need that cornerback to replace what they lost in free agency. So good pick there. All right, up at number 4 is the Giants. And going right back to you, Jordan, give us your pick for the Giants.
So I have the Giants taking Isaiah Simmons. I think a lot of people have them taking a tackle here, and I think that is going to be important for them to pick up some sort of tackle at some point in the draft, just because they invested a ton into Daniel Jones. Their offensive line really struggled last year. I think this tackle class is pretty deep, though, so I think they could trade back up into the back end of the first round and pick up a high-quality tackle. So Isaiah Simmons was the Buck Kiss Award winner. I mean, he's all around. I think he's a can't-miss linebacker. He's going to play all over the field. He's played corner, safety, and it really allows a defensive coordinator to have a lot of flexibility within the scheme. So I think if you build your defense around Simmons, that's a good choice. And like I said, the tackle class is deep, and I think they can address that later.
All right, good stuff. I like that pick there. Great pick. All right, the next up is going to be the Miami Dolphins. And Tim, so far, I think it's been pretty chalk. Are you going against the grain here at number 5 for the Dolphins?
I am not. I'm going with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama. We saw last year going into the season, pretty much all the Dolphins fans wanted to tank for Tua. Obviously, as the season emerged, they ended up playing better, especially toward the end than a lot of people expected. But I do think that Tua is going to be there. If the draft plays out like this, I do think, as mentioned previously, there are some trades and possibilities where the team may come up and try and get him. But if everything plays out like this, I think the Dolphins have to go with Tua in this spot. I do agree with Jordan in that there are a deep tackle class. They're looking at a lot of tackles here. They have the worst O-line in the league. But if Tua's there, you can't pass over him. You got to take him there.
Yeah, I think it's funny how, the Dolphins are quote-unquote tanking for Tua and then actually won too many games to quote-unquote tank for Tua and ended up still probably getting Tua anyway. So I think it actually works out for them pretty well. So good job for the Dolphins there. All right, next up is at number 6, we are at the Los Angeles Chargers. And Ryan, we're going to you here for the Los Angeles Chargers pick. What you got? This is when things get kind of interesting for me.
Los Angeles Chargers take Justin Herbert. Right now, they're going into the season with Tyrod Taylor as their starting quarterback, and it's not going to cut it. Tyrod's one of the better bridge quarterbacks in the league, and guys for somebody to sit behind. But Justin Herbert's a guy who can come in, start. He has all the tools you want. He has a huge arm. He's athletic. He tied for the fastest 40 of any QB at the combine. Second fastest. Sorry, forgot about Hurts, but he's athletic. He can throw on and run. He's a lot more accurate than people give him credit to. He makes good decisions. He had 6 picks this year, and he can do a little bit of everything. If it was a different season, people would be drooling over him. And he'd be in talks for the number 1 overall pick. It's just Joe Burrow and Tua are just that unbelievable that he's getting forgotten in the shuffle when he brings everything you want to the quarterback position. And the way teams have drafted toolsy players recently, he has all the tools you want.
All right, good stuff. And Tim, I want to get your thoughts. I saw you shaking your head over there, kind of nodding along with Ryan. What are your thoughts on Herbert here at this pick?
No, I think it's a great pick. I mean, like he said, they need to start looking at their next quarterback. And as he said, in any other draft, he would probably be, if not a number 1, certainly a top 5 pick. He's got great talent. He's certainly somebody that they can build their franchise along moving forward. So I like that pick a lot. I definitely think that, there's if they're going to take a quarterback, they're going to have to take him here because, I don't think there's any viable prospects that will be available coming next time around. So I like that pick a lot, actually.
Yeah, I think the fact that they didn't do much in free agency as far as a quarterback goes, they didn't even attempt to even try, to sign quarterbacks. They just kind of said, it's Tyrod Taylor's our guy. We're going to draft a quarterback. Taylor will be the bridge quarterback, which he's done basically his whole entire career. I think definitely kind of spells what they're going to do here. They're getting a quarterback for sure in this draft, and this is a great spot to get one.
Yeah, I do know that they had a couple of meetings with Jordan Love, but I think between the two, especially in this spot, you got to go with Herbert.
Agreed. Next up at the number 7 is the Carolina Panthers. And Jordan, we are back to you. We're hearing a lot from you. We're getting you broken in early here. What you got for the Panthers?
I'm ready to. I have Derek Brown from Auburn going to the Panthers. With Matt Rule, Joe Brady there, they've spent a lot of time building up that offense. They'll have Teddy Bridgewater. They signed Robbie Anderson. I think that offense is going to be in pretty good shape. So I expect them to spend their first few picks rebuilding that defense, and I think they need a lot of pieces there. I think Derek Brown is the best on the board. I think he can be a disruptive force. He's got a ton of athleticism, good speed, and I think he can be a disruptive force kind of in the mold of maybe a Chris Jones from Kansas City. So if you can get a talent like that this early, I think that's a pick you have to make.
All right, I love that pick for the Panthers for sure. Great pick there. All right, at the number 8, we got the Arizona Cardinals. And Matt, I know the Cardinals now are kind of your home team. I know you're a Vikings fan, but you lived out there, so you probably hear a lot about what's going on with the Cardinals here. So give us your pick for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm here in Phoenix, of course, and I listen to 98.7 FM, their sports channel, almost every day, driving to work and stuff. And all it's been talked about is how amazing the DeAndre Hopkins trade has been, and could go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history. So that's what they've been talking about all the time here in Arizona. But for this pick, it sounds like they don't need a receiver anymore. I was going to put CeeDee Lamb here and pair him back up with Kyler Murray from Oklahoma, but I'm going to go Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle out of Iowa. I like Wirfs a lot. I think he's my favorite tackle in the draft. I love, it's just like you take running backs who played at Alabama, you take offensive linemen who played at Iowa. Iowa has always produced a ton of great offensive linemen, Marshall Yanda, Brandon Schreff. They just know how to produce talent on the O-line. So I think Wirfs is a great fit here. A lot of people might say defense here because the Cardinals' defense was atrocious last year. but I don't know. I think you can find defense later in the draft. But I really they just need somebody to solidify the O-line because it was pretty shaky last year.
Yeah, it definitely was. It's been shaky for a couple of years there, and I think we saw some of that issues with the running game before when David Johnson was there, and then Kenyon Drake got there and showed that he can do it without an offensive line apparently. But so I think great pick for the Cardinals there. The next one up, we got at number 9 here. We're going with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Matt, we are going right back to you for the Jaguars. What you got for the Jags?
So I did my research like all of you. I looked at the depth charts, free agent signing, stuff like that. So I looked at pretty much all the teams' depth charts in the NFL. I think the Jaguars, top to bottom, quarterback to kicker, have the worst roster in the NFL. I really believe that. I think even the Giants and Redskins have more talent all over across the board. The Jags need help everywhere, especially on the offensive line. So I'm going the big boy, Mekhi Becton from Louisville, 6'8", ran a 5'11" 40. He's the heaviest player in the draft, almost 370 pounds. He's just huge, man. He blocks out the sun. They just need so much help. Luckily, they have an extra pick later in the draft, but here they need to solidify the O-line. It's a deep offensive line draft, but Becton just jumps off the board for me. He's huge. He's fast. Great feet. I love the pick here. I think they will go with Becton.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. The next up at number 10, we have the Cleveland Browns. And it's for Gerson. Gerson, we haven't heard from you in a while. I didn't purposely do this where I left you out to the 10th pick, but we got you in finally. So, Gerson, give us your pick here at number 10 for the Cleveland Browns.
I know you guys missed me, huh? I think the Cleveland Browns are going to select an offensive tackle. I was really hoping for the last 2 guys that got selected over the guy I'm going to say. But I think Jedrick Willis out of Alabama is a very good pick. They signed Jack Conner. He's probably going to be on the right side. I think Jedrick will be on the left side. One of the biggest reasons why Baker Mayfield struggled last year was that offensive line protection. 2 years ago, he actually looked good when he had protection, but they traded away a lot of those. Well, they traded at free agency to build their offense like Odell Beckham Jr. and among other players. But I think he's a good pick to protect Baker Mayfield. So I'm going to go with Jedrick Willis out of Alabama for sure.
All right, good stuff. And Gerson, we're still having some mic issues with you. I don't know what's going on over there, but you're kind of coming in and out. But we did hear the pick there. So you had Jedrick Willis, right? Is that correct?
Oh.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I couldn't catch it. I didn't know if I heard that right or not.
Yeah.
All right, so that wraps up the first 10 picks there. I did want to get Ryan's opinion there. I know a couple of guys went here in the top 10, and Ryan, you've done a couple mock drafts here. I want to get your thoughts on just how this went. Do you think it went very chalky? Any of these picks surprise you at all?
Fairly chalky. No picks really surprised me. Isaiah Simmons, a little bit. I love the pick personally. I just know that team has ignored the linebacker position for a better part of a decade. While it's probably the best call to do, I don't know if they'd actually do it. I love Derek Brown to Carolina and all that run on linemen. There's no argument there. It's all right. I think we're going to see that in a lot of linemen in the first round, especially early.
Good stuff. Let me recap those top 10 picks there. We had the Bengals taking Burrow, no surprise there. Redskins got Chase Young. The Lions got Jeffrey Okudah. Giants took Isaiah Simmons. Dolphins, of course, got Tua. I'm not going to say his last name. Not even going to attempt it. It's just Tua. Los Angeles Chargers take Justin Herbert. Carolina Panthers, Derek Brown. Arizona Cardinals take Tristan. Is it Wirfs? How do you say that? Is it Wirfs?
Yeah.
All right.
Wirfs.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure. And then Cleveland Browns take Jedrick Willis. Let's move into the 11th pick here, and we got the New York Jets are on the board. All right, and Tim, we're going to you here for the New York Jets. What you got for me?
Yeah, I have the New York Jets selecting Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama. I think if this draft plays out this way, the Jets are very happy because they kind of have their choice. But I think in this slot, they're going to take Jerry Jeudy. He's just such a natural wide receiver. He can play all 3 spots. And their wide receiver core is just abysmal. I mean, right now, probably arguably their best wide receiver is the guy they just traded for, Rashad Perriman. But they're they got Perriman and Nunwa and Jamison Crowder. I mean, they obviously need some help to get young quarterback, and he's somebody that can take a slant or a hitch route and take it to the house. So I think if it plays out this way, wide receiver Jerry Jeudy will be going to the Jets.
All right, good stuff. And Gerson, I want to get your thoughts on this pick here because I know the pick that you have next, you may have been looking at this guy, but what are your thoughts on Jerry Jeudy there going to the New York Jets?
I like Jeudy. I actually have him as my second best wide receiver in this draft, and it's probably against the grain because a lot of people have Jeudy number one. I don't, but I like him. He's probably he's the safest out of the three receivers that are probably going to be picked within the next, 4 or 5 picks. But Judy's definitely up there. Solid. Yeah, he's probably the highest in floor. But the guy I'm taking next, I have the next pick, right?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and let me hit the sounder for you. So I know it's very important for you to hit me the sounder. So yeah, the next pick is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, who you got here?
I don't want you to be like Adam Schefter that said the Oakland Raiders signed Marcus Mariota. I'm like, dude, it's your job to know this stuff, and you're saying Oakland. Come on, man. The next guy, I just mentioned him, CeeDee Lamb. I think he has probably one of the best. He killed it last year in the Big 12. He had a very good physical route, running skills and everything. What I like about him the most is the way he can create yards after catch. He's not the fastest, but the way he moves, agility, break tackles and whatnot. I think he fits the Raiders. Everybody's expecting Henry Ruggs because of his big playability. He's fast, and that's just the style the Oakland Raiders have always been. They like fast players, but I got news to you. Al Davis died 10 years ago, so I don't mean to be mean, but I think Mike Mayock likes CeeDee Lamb, and he'll get CeeDee Lamb with this first pick in the first round.
All right, that is an awesome pick there. I think both of y'all kind of sniped me because I got the next pick on the board. I'm picking just for the 49ers here, and I was hoping that one of those receivers would drop to me, but obviously neither one of them did. I do think that the Niners would probably go offensive line here or cornerback, but because I'm a fantasy guy, I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to take the speed guy that I know everyone's kind of giving a hard time for. He's not the complete player, Mr. Henry Ruggs. I don't think he'll be a great fantasy player necessarily. I think he's a better NFL player, and I think he's what our team needs. I think we need that deep threat. We need that Marquise Goodwin type player to stay healthy, to open up the middle of the field for guys like Kittle and even Deebo Samuels a little bit, in that run game as well. Take that safety off the top there, and I think his speed allows us to do that. Hopefully he can stay healthy, unlike some of the fast guys before him, like John Ross, and I mentioned Marquise Goodwin. They can't stay healthy. If he can stay healthy and be that fast guy down the field, I think he opens the offense up so much. I think that's what Shanahan's looking for. So I think at this pick, if it goes the way things are going right now, I think he could potentially take Henry Ruggs at this pick.
And we'll see if Garoppolo can get him the ball.
I'm going to say you need a quarterback, but
hey now, we were in the Super Bowl, guys. Don't hate too much. All right, and I didn't give myself the sounder, so I was good all the way up until myself, and I forgot to give myself the sounder. So let me just hit it now for myself. There we go. All right, next up we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Jordan, we are going to you once again. Tampa Bay Bucks. I know everybody in fantasy wants them to go running back here, but what do you got at number 14?
So I have them taking offensive lineman. I have them taking Andrew Thomas from Georgia here. I think they need a guy on that offensive line, especially at the tackle position, that they can slot in right away. Andrew Thomas was a 3-year starter at Georgia. And, there's a lot of pressure on them to protect Tom Brady and their investment there. So Tom Brady's not exactly the most mobile guy at 42 years old. So I think they're going to build up that offensive line. They really rebuilt that defense, and on paper, their defense could be really dominant. And they played really well in the second half last year. So I think they need to build up that offensive line, and Andrew Thomas is the best on the board.
All right, good stuff. I agree there. I think that is definitely the way they need to go is with offensive line to protect Tom Brady. He's not used to getting hit, and he'll be hit quite a bit behind that offensive line if they don't shore that up. So I agree 100% with that pick there. All right, next up we have the Denver Broncos. And Gerson, we are going back to you for the Broncos here. What do you got for the Broncos pick?
I was really hoping one of those wide receivers would fall because I think the Broncos really wanted to put a wide receiver next to Sutton. But with that being said, I don't think Justin Jefferson is, you get value for him right here. I can see him going cornerback, drafting C.J. Henderson, that cornerback out of Florida. That's my pick for this pick. They let go of Chris Harris. They went and signed with the Chargers, and they traded for A.J. Boyd. And I think they're going to need another cornerback on the other side with C.J. Henderson complimenting him. Overall, cornerback is a need for them. But if one of those wide receivers fell, then I would have drafted a wide receiver. But for me right now, it's definitely C.J. Henderson.
All right, good stuff there. Jordan, let me get your thoughts on that pick there. What do you think of that pick going to the Denver Broncos there without the receivers being there? Would you still go receiver, or would you just go with the cornerback here?
Yeah, I mean, I am always a big fan of taking the best player available on the board. I think Henderson is one of the better ones left right now. I've seen a lot of mocks where Ruggs goes in that position, and I think he'd be a great fit if he is there for Denver. I think that'd make that offense even more explosive than it already could be. But I think based on the board, I think Henderson's a good pick there.
All right, good stuff. The next up at the number 16 pick is the Atlanta Falcons. And Jordan, we're going right back to you here for the Atlanta Falcons. What you got for the Falcons? This is another spot that a running back could potentially go, but I know Fantasy World wants a running back here, but what do you got?
Yeah, so I think this is the first time I got sniped. They lost Desmond Trufant in free agency, so I thought C.J. Henderson would have been a good pick here. I don't really like any of the other corners in the spot, but I think Atlanta does need to build up that defense a little more. So I'm going to have them taking Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. Put him right next to Grady Jarrett. I think he could dominate on that defensive line side by side. So not exciting. They did sign Todd Gurley to that one-year deal, so I've seen a few mocks where DeAndre Swift goes in this position, but I do think they're going to wait on a running back now, maybe in the second round, pick up somebody like J.K. Dobbins. But I think in this spot they take Kinlaw, and he dropped a few spots, and I think he's a talented guy that can really help them build that defense.
All right, yeah, I think I agree. I think the Falcons could use some defense for sure. It's a great pick there. All right, let's look at the next pick here. At number 17, we got the Dallas Cowboys. And Tim, I know you're a Packers fan, but this is kind of your home team because you live right there. So tell us what's going on in Dallas right now. What you got for your pick?
Yeah, I think Cowboys front office would be pretty upset because I think Henderson and Kinlaw are both great picks for the Cowboys, and they go the 2 picks beforehand. If it does play out this way, I think that I'm going to have them taking K'Lavon Chaisson out LSU. The Cowboys just lost Robert Quinn in free agency. They're going to have to – I think they really need a corner because they also lost Byron Jones. But I agree with Jordan's analysis here that there's not really a corner that I would take in this spot. So I'm going to take an edge rusher to kind of give them another person on that defensive line that's going to be able to rush the passer. And so that's what I think is the best available pick here.
All right, great stuff there, great stuff. And look at that, we're actually running right on time. Come up on the 30-minute mark, and we're about to take a commercial break. It's because we haven't had Gerson on that much. Once we have Gerson on the second half of the show, we're probably going to go another hour and a half. So hang tight, guys. We're running a quick commercial break, and when we be back, we'll tackle the rest of the picks. Hold tight.
In the unpredictable world of fantasy sports, when all hope seems lost and chaos and confusion rule, one hero will rise. And change everything. Going for 2.com. Because no one remembers the extra point.
All right, welcome back. We have gone through the first 17 picks of the NFL draft. We are now up at pick number 18. It is the Miami Dolphins with their second pick in this draft so far. And we're going back to you, Tim. Who do you got for the Miami Dolphins?
All right, with the 18th pick, I have the Dolphins selecting safety Xavier McKinney out of Alabama. The Miami Dolphins spent some money this offseason to shore up their cornerbacking crew, going out and getting Byron Jones, who I just mentioned from the Cowboys. but their back end leaves a little bit to be desired. So I think that the Dolphins realize how many holes they have. I think all the best offensive tackles have been taken up to this point, and so I think the best value on the board. I'm always about best player available, and I think that it's also a fit for them, so I'm going to go Xavier McKinney.
All right, great stuff there. Great pick. All right, and let's go to the next pick here. We got the Las Vegas Raiders once again, and the aforementioned Mr. Gerson has that pick. All right, Gerson, we're going to you, man. What you got for your second pick for the Raiders?
Well, Tim sniped me, but yeah, I like McKinney a lot. But I'm going to go, I think his last name is Grant Delpit, or Tweet. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, Grant Delpit.
Yeah.
Delpit? Okay. Yeah. Safety out of LSU. I mean, these guys I watched them in the playoff. These guys are monsters. Like, he's going to be a really good compliment to Jonathan Abram. And if they both stay healthy, I think that's what the Raiders are going to go for. Go through the secondary. They signed Jeff Heath. I don't really think Jeff Heath is like spectacular. I mean, he's average for me. And then they build up the linebackers with Littleton and the linebacker from Brown. I can't remember his name, or the Bears, I think it was. But overall, they filled up some holes. I think they're going to go safety. They have been talking about going defensive tackle, but they're not an interior defensive tackle right now that I think would be worth reaching up to right now. But he'd definitely be my pick to load up with Abram in the Raiders backfield. All
right, good stuff. So you got sniped by Tim. So I'm curious to Tim's thoughts on the pick that Gerson made in lieu of getting sniped. Tim, what are your thoughts on this pick?
No, I think that's a real strong pick. I actually considered him for the Cowboys 2 picks before. I think, like he said, I mean, Delpit just showed during that playoff run and national championship just how versatile he really is. He can play down in the box. He can play all over. He's a great tackler. He's definitely somebody that can, jump right in. And as he mentioned, it's not hard to beat out Jeff Heath. I mean, let's be real here. So I think he's somebody that would be a great addition to the Raiders and, definitely somebody that's going to compete from day one.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. All right, next up, we are at pick number 20, and we are with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Matt, we haven't heard from you in a while, man. You still awake over there? You got the Jags?
Yeah, for this next pick, again, like I said, the Jags roster is atrocious, one of the worst in the NFL. You really can't miss here. They could go wide receiver. Heck, they could try Jordan Love at quarterback. They need cornerbacks. They need safeties. They need everything, basically, besides defensive line help. I didn't really know where to go with this pick, honestly. There's a lot of value that I think we're missing here. There's a ton of good wide receivers still left on the board, but I think it's time to replace Ramsey and Boye. So I went with Stephon Diggs' brother, Trayvon Diggs, out of Alabama. Big physical cornerback, 6'1". I really liked. I watched his tape prior to doing the podcast. I really like what I saw. I don't know if he goes this high. I think he might go in like the 24 to 27 range, but it's tough here. It's a weird. All the guys that you guys said, like Kinlaw and Chasen out of LSU, those are the guys who, if they fell to the Jags, I think they'd take them. But I guess I'm just going to go with Diggs right here.
All right, good stuff there. Going with Diggs at cornerback.
Hold on, before we move on, I want to say something there, Matt. You're not a believer in Minshew mania? What? Jordan Love?
I love Minshew. I think he's awesome.
So you think they might get a quarterback, Matt, or you think they're just going with all in on Minshew?
I don't know what the Jaguars are doing. They are so poorly run. They've been a joke in the NFL for about the last 20 years. They had a good team a couple years ago, and then they just fizzled out, and now they're back to rebuilding. So
yep.
I have no idea what goes on inside their heads. They may move to London. I have no idea what's going on in Jacksonville.
I think it's like the Jaguars and Bill O'Brien are like, wait, you just did that? Hold my beer. Hold on. He just sucked.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed. All right. I lost my place here. So we're at the Eagles now, right? 21st pick.
Yeah, my bad, Jeff.
No, you're good. You're good. 21st pick overall, the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, Ryan, we haven't heard from you in a while. What you got going to the Eagles?
Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Reagor. I know this is a little bit off because he's kind of dipped a little bit because of poor 40 time, as people say. But he's an explosive athlete. He's one of the best run after catch guys in this draft. He has the ability to score anytime he touches the ball. And he basically turns into a running back once he gets the ball in his hands. And the Eagles have nobody like that. They have a bunch of big guys who can go get jump balls. They have D-Jax, who, if healthy, can spread the field a little bit. Rager can not only go deep like that, but he can work all areas of the field. And he can be just a weapon they get the ball to and create ways for him to score. And some of the other receivers who are available, some people may view him as better. I think he's just a good fit because of what he brings of versatility.
All right, good stuff. You know, I love Jalen Reagor in fantasy purposes, and if he goes to the Eagles, I think his value definitely rises there a little bit. Jordan, I haven't heard from you in a while. Let me get your thoughts on Jalen Reagor going to the Eagles here. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I definitely think the Eagles need to take a wide receiver in this spot. I mean, they are really thin, especially with Aguilar leaving. Not that he was anything to write home about, but I like Reagor. I think he has a ton of upside. I think T. Higgins is a little more polished right now, but I think Reagor has more upside here. All
right, good stuff, good stuff. All right, we're at pick number 22, and it is the Minnesota Vikings, and the pick that they got, I believe they got it, this is the one they got from the Bills. Am I right? Pick 22, this is the trade for Diggs.
Yep.
All right, Matt, this is your Vikings team here. You made this trade. You got this pick now. What are you doing with it?
You know, this pick comes with a heavy heart. I mean, it's the sacrificial lamb for Stephon Diggs. This is what we got in return. So I think it's time to replace Diggs. And just like Jordan said, I like T. Higgins out of Clemson a lot. 6'4", huge target. He's super great at catching the ball in traffic, double coverage, and he's pretty fast too. So if he's still on the board, I think they have to take a wide receiver here. I think Higgins is the pick here for sure. You know, other than Adam Thielen, who was hurt virtually all of last year, there's really it's a bunch of practice squad guys on that side of the ball in the wide receiver core, and Kyle Rudolph's getting old too. So I think T. Higgins. Or, you know, there's a ton of other guys, Brandon Ayuk out of ASU, Justin Jefferson. But I think right here, if Higgins is on the board, that's who I'd go with.
Hey, Matt, you may have missed this blockbuster signing just recently for your team. I don't know if you saw it or not, but they signed Tajay Sharp.
Oh, you're a bad person.
not thrilled about that.
Wonder.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. I agree. I think the Vikings go receiver here. They got to replace Diggs for sure, and I think Thielen is getting towards the end of his career. He was older to begin with, an older breakout player, and now he's dealing with injuries as well. So I think that he has a couple of years left, and I think replacing him would be a good thought here, replacing Diggs. All right, at number 23, we got the New England Patriots. And Ryan, I'm really curious to hear this one. This is like a very interesting pick here. They can go a lot of different ways. I'm curious to what you got here at the number 23 pick.
I'm going to say this is my hardest pick of the night. I have no idea what the Patriots are ever going to do. But just lost Tom Brady, man. The defense is in place. You need to have some sort of game plan going forward. And I think it's going to be Jacob Eason here. I know everyone convention saying Jordan Love. Jacob Eason kind of fits the mold. He's that big, strong quarterback who can stand in the pocket, has an absolute cannon for an arm. He's something that Belichick can work with to get his accuracy where he wants it. He's played in multiple offenses, so he has experience, and he hasn't shown the ability to make the terrible decisions what we've seen Jordan Love do. And I think that's something that would turn the Patriots off with seeing all the turnovers he had last year and all the errant throws. I think Eason kind of fits what they want to do and what they've shown to have at quarterback talent-wise.
Yeah, I think the Patriots, you know, especially Belichick, I think he likes to go out and prove that he knows better. So I think the consensus sort of pick is sort of what he wants to go against almost. He wants to get his guy, and if that happens to be his guy, he won't hesitate to pick him there. So I agree. I think that quarterback is a need that they're going to have to try to fill, and if Eason is the guy that they want, then they'll go out and draft him, I think, for sure. All right, next up, we've got the New Orleans Saints at pick number 24. And Ryan, we're going right back to you for the New Orleans Saints. Who you got?
I have the Saints taking Patrick Queen, linebacker from LSU. Their middle linebacker spot's been a little bit rough for a while now, and they've really been concentrating on getting that defense locked down. So he's a dude who flies around the field. He's that new kind of linebacker who's just built on speed. He can cover. He can rush a passer. He goes sideline to sideline. He makes all the tackles. He does everything you want out of a linebacker, and he can man that middle of the field for a long time for them and just add speed to that defense.
All right, yeah, I love that pick there. I think I got into a Twitter argument with somebody because you put your mock draft out. I think you had this same pick in your mock draft, if I'm not mistaken, and you weren't in this. Yeah, you weren't in this group with me, but someone was arguing about it, and he was telling me that they're going to draft a wide receiver, and I'm like, why would they go out and get a receiver? They got the best in the game already. They just got Manny Sanders. They're in a win now kind of mode. They don't need a draft. They're like, oh, for the next couple of years, they need a receiver. I'm like, no. I was like, the last thing they need is a receiver. They need defense, or they need, even a cornerback here would have been good. So I agree. I think that's a great pick there. All right, next up at 25, we got the Minnesota Vikings. And Matt, we're going right back to you here for your Vikings. What do you got for them at 25?
Well, I follow this Purple FTW podcast on YouTube, and it seems like every day that I update it the last week and a half, it's a new Vikings defensive player who's been signed by another team. Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander both went to the Bengals, Xavier Rhodes to the Colts. It seems like they're just dropping like flies, so it has to be on that side of the ball. We've lost a lot on the defensive side, so I'm going with cornerback. Might be a little bit of a reach, but I think he's a freak athlete. Ran a 4.4 40. AJ Terrell out of Clemson. Just a freak athlete, had a 36-inch vertical, has won a national championship. And Mike Zimmer, his biggest strength as a coach is that he is fantastic at developing cornerbacks. That's his number one. He is fantastic, and I think he's going to turn Terrell into a star because right now we have Mike Hughes and nobody else. So I think it's time that we get a cornerback right here.
All right, good stuff. Going with the cornerback there, I agree. Ryan, get your thoughts on that pick there. What do you think of cornerback going to the Vikings there?
I love the idea of cornerback there. I'm not as high on him. I think there's a couple guys I prefer with Jeff Gladney and Kristen Fullen. But if it fits the system, I'm completely okay with it. But there's a couple guys I've ranked ahead of him, but definitely a team that needs to improve on the cornerback position.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we are at the number 26 pick, and we are at the this is the third Dolphins pick, I believe, right? Third pick for the Dolphins?
That is correct.
That is correct. All right, and we're going to you, Tim. We haven't heard from you in a little bit. I think the last pick you made was for the Dolphins earlier in this round here. So what do you got for the Dolphins at number 26?
It is. I think this one's really tough because I think that the Dolphins want to get a running back here for two reasons. One, we saw them bring in Jordan Howard, but I think that he's more of a stopgap until their next guy. We saw them obviously get rid of Kenyon Drake last year, but they need somebody who's going to be able to play behind that offensive line, which is going to be no small task. They have the worst O-line in the league, so they need somebody who's got quick bursts, who has great vision, who can get them the yards and hopefully push through for a couple more. So I'm going to go with running back DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. I think that he fits what they currently have. I think it's entirely possible that they may take J.K. Dobbins here. That's kind of my toss-up based on visits, based on who I've seen around mock them and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and take Swift. I think he's the prospect that best fits the situation that they have right now.
Yeah, I think I agree there. I think I was looking at the running backs here as you were talking, thinking about which one they would take, and I think Swift is probably what they're going to be leaning towards. I think Swift fits that what they want to do there with the versatile running back. Coming from that Patriots-type style system, they want the versatile guy that can do a little bit of everything. I think Swift is that guy for sure.
Yeah, I think one thing that they're definitely going to consider is that since it's the end of the first round, whoever they pick here, they get 5 years.
Yep.
So they're going to have time to be able to bring them in, develop them, get through that rookie contract, and then, as with most running backs, on to the next.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that's a good value for him in this position. That's who I would pick if I was them.
Yeah, I agree. I think they get that 5-year deal, and then the running back at the fourth year is like, crap, I need to hold out because I'm not going to get enough money here. And it seems to always work out that way. That fifth year, they're starting to thinking about cutting bait there. So that's a good point there with the first round, getting that 5th-year option for sure.
Tim, no Jonathan Taylor love there?
I do. I really like him as well. I just think that, like I said, he's in the mix. I'm just going to go Swift, basically, not because of anything I have against Taylor, but just based on the situation he would be going into. But I do think that it wouldn't surprise me if he went that, if they went that one here. I think, he could certainly be a scheme fit. I think in this spot, I'd go Swift.
Yeah, I think Swift is a better pass catcher, and I think with that Dolphins team, they want a better pass catcher. I think Taylor's more of a traditional type running back, so I think Swift is more versatile, and that's what they're looking for, is a very versatile back. Of course, they traded one of those versatile backs away, and we saw how well he did in Arizona when he left Miami, so who knows what's going to happen if Swift does go there. All right, at number 27, we got the Seattle Seahawks. All right, and Matt Sandell, it's up to you for the Seahawks, man. What you got?
I'm going to do my best not to butcher his name, but the defensive end out of Penn State, Yetter Gross Matos. Sounds like that sounds like a hardware product. Out of Penn State, 20 tackles for a loss in 2018. Had a little bit down 2019, but they need somebody to replace Clowney. They're pretty stacked. I mean, they were almost in the NFC Championship game. They got Wilson. They got DK Metcalf. Chris Carson was a star last year. Their offense is pretty set. They don't really have too many holes, but they might want to replace Clowney because it doesn't look like he's going to re-sign there. So, yeah, I'd go with Gross Matos out of Penn State.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I saw a stat that this is the first time in NFL history, I believe, that there's three number one overall picks right now that are not signed. When you got Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, and Jadeveon Clowney all without teams right now, and they're all first-round picks, first number one overall pick. So pretty crazy stat there. All right, we are moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. And, of course, if you're a fan of the show, you already know that Ryan's a huge Ravens fan. So, Ryan, give me who's going with the Ravens.
Dude, I'm so glad he made that Gross Matos pick. My head was about to explode between the two guys. I'm taking Kenneth Murray, linebacker from Oklahoma. The Ravens have had a major hole at the linebacker position since they lost C.J. Mosley to a ridiculous contract. And Kenneth Murray is everything the Ravens are looking for. He is fast. He's strong. He loves to hit. He plays aggressive with attitude. He has the ties to Oklahoma, who, if you know anything about the team, they're basically the Oklahoma Ravens. There's like 12 guys on the team from there. But he fits their system. He's a big, strong linebacker. He plugs the gaps in the middle. He can blitz. He does everything. I think if he's on the board, there's no way they're not taking him. And if it's close, he's a guy that you trade up for.
All right, good stuff. I like that pick. Where are we at? We're at Tennessee Titans now, right? With Gerson. Sorry, I got so much things going on over here. I'm trying to keep track of all these picks. I keep losing my spot here. So, Gerson, you're up with the Tennessee Titans.
I think the Tennessee Titans actually replaced they lost a lot of players in there was one team that really lost a lot in free agency was the Tennessee Titans, and I think that they're going to have to be an edge rusher here. Matt kind of got my guy, computer, and then AJ Espinoza, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Plays on the edge for Iowa. The guy's very, he's tall, he's long, he's big, 286 per 6. Overall, he plays on the edge mostly. I just think with the way the Titans are going, the way Mike Vrabel is, where he likes to use those edge rushers to either drop back in coverage and whatnot, he's probably not the best, but he's fluid. Not very bendy, though. But overall, I think I'm going to go here. I can see him going cornerback, but a lot of cornerbacks that we like have already been taken. But overall, AJ Espinoza is my pick right here for him. I know a lot of people are expecting him to get a running back, but I really don't expect him to draft a running back in the first round.
All right, good stuff there at number 29, and now we're moving on to number 30, the Green Bay Packers. And if you didn't already notice, Tim's wearing his Packers jersey, so of course he's making this pick. Tim, who you got going to the Packers?
Man, this one's really tough because I really thought that he was going to be drafted before this. I think that the Packers take a wide receiver. I think it was very clear last year that they needed a number 2 behind Davante Adams. They cycled, MVS, Geronimo Allison, Jake Kumaro, Alan Lazard. They just tried to find whoever they could to be that number 2 receiver. I'm going to go ahead and go with Justin Jefferson, wide receiver at LSU. I don't know if he'll actually make it this far. I think I was deciding between him. I know that he would be kind of, a play on the other side of the field. But one reason I went ahead and went with Justin is because they value wide receivers that are not afraid to block. And we saw it throughout the playoffs. He is not afraid. He's not the strongest guy, but he'll stick his nose in there and block in the run game, and move some dudes backwards. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and go with Justin Jefferson. He's a great contested catch. Rodgers can obviously put it where he needs to get it, and I think that he's instantly better than any other option they have.
All right, yeah, I think that would be an awesome pick there, opposite of Davante Adams. That would be an amazing fantasy pick as well, because I think that Packers offense has the potential to be really good. Obviously they're pretty good when Rodgers is on his game. Last year he had struggled a little bit. That run game picked it up, but I think you put him next to Davante Adams, and I think he has an excellent season there. Jordan, I haven't heard from you in a while. Let me get your thoughts on Justin Jefferson. They're going to the Packers.
Yeah, I think that's a great value too. I would have expected him to go a few picks earlier. They've had a huge void there next to Davante Adams. From a fantasy perspective, I think that puts him in the conversation to go in the first round in a dynasty league. But I think that's a great value there, and it fills a position of need for him.
All right, good stuff. All right, next up is the 49ers. All right, I mentioned before that I don't really follow the defensive side of the ball very much, so I'm actually going to defer to you, Ryan, on this one. I'm going to make the pick, and then you can kind of give me a little bit of a synopsis on this guy. But the top-rated cornerback that I have on my board right now is Christian Fulton from LSU. Ryan, what do you know about Christian Fulton?
Christian Fulton, he's a playmaker. He's a guy who I like to fit a lot, actually. He's long, he's explosive, he takes a lot of chances, which, with the way their pass rush is perfect. He's a guy who has no problem going after the ball and trying to take it to the house every time he touches it. I think he's a good fit. He's a guy who could learn behind Richard Sherman with a similar type frame and build. I think it's a good fit for them.
All right.
Yeah, I think that would be a great pick for the 49ers, man. If they could get Fulton at 31, that's a steal almost.
Yeah, that's a really good pick for them.
All right, look at that. See,
49ers play a lot of man, don't they, Jeff? They play a lot of man, right?
What was that?
Yeah.
They play a lot of man. Yep.
Yeah, they play a lot of man. He's very good at press coverage, so that'll help the pass rush they have.
All right, look at that. I don't even know. I'm a genius. I don't even know it. Just kidding. All right, we are wrapping up with the last pick in the draft here, Kansas City Chiefs. And just some quick insight behind this pick here. Gerson actually made a trade after I assigned teams with Ryan here. So he wanted the Kansas City Chiefs. He went out and traded for them. So Gerson, I'm curious to hear what you draft for the Kansas City Chiefs right here.
So hey Ryan, don't worry, your tequila bottle's on the way. But I think the Kansas City Chiefs are gonna make. They freed up money with re-signing, what's his name, Sammy Watkins, a reconstructed contract, as you would call it. But his first round pick is going to be Jonathan Taylor, running back.
Nice.
And he's going to make that big of a splash in the first year of the rookie draft. He's going to be the number one pick in all of the 92 rookie draft. In my opinion, if he gets selected by the Kansas City Chiefs. And you know what? I know it's probably a little bit, a lot of people are like, nah, it won't happen, but that's my pick, and I'm sticking with it. Taylor's a monster. He killed it at the combine. I mean, the thing that worries me, think about it, all those Wisconsin running backs that got a lot of carries, they put a lot of miles on them, and they definitely did that with Taylor, but not too worried if he goes through, Andy Reid's system, because Andy Reid, like Westbrook, all the running backs he's had, he tends to, not overuse them. Give them flexibility, have a pass catching running back, and then a third down, a plotter. And Taylor's just a monster. He's probably my favorite running back. I thought he was going to go to first. He's the first running back taken, but I got Taylor going Kansas City Chiefs. Fantasy football starting right
now. Yeah, I think if that actually happens, I think any running back that goes in that spot, if they do go running back, I think immediately vaults to a potential 101 overall in dynasty drafts, because that offense is just unbelievable. And, with that Andy Reid system, I think any running back is going to be amazing there. So Taylor would be an awesome fit. I think Swift would be an awesome fit. Dobbins would be an awesome fit. Even Cam Akers, if he ends up going there for some reason, I think he'd be an awesome fit. Any running back there is going to be awesome fit. So agreed 100% there. Let me just recap the last 10 picks that we did here, 21 through 32. The Eagles we had taking, let me go back up on my screen here. Eagles, we had Jalen Reagor. The Vikings, we had T. Higgins. The Patriots took Jacob Eason. The Saints took Patrick Queen. Vikings took A.J. Terrell. The Dolphins, DeAndre Swift. The Seahawks took, and I'm not going to pronounce this right, but Yetur Gross-Matos. Is that how you say it? I don't even know.
Sure.
Yes, that's how. Yeah, we should call him YGM. That's what we're going to call him right now. Yeah. Ravens took Kenneth Murray. Titans took AJ Espinosa. Is that how you say it? Sure, why not? Green Bay Packers.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, Green Bay Packers take Justin Jefferson. My 49ers take Christian Fulton, and the Chiefs take Jonathan Taylor at the 32 pick overall. All right, guys, that wraps everything up. I want to just go around the room really quick, and if you want to plug anything, if you want us to, spit out your Twitter handle or, on Facebook. I know, George, you're a Facebook guy. If you want to plug your Facebook page, Ryan, we'll go to you first since you're the one everybody knows.
Find me at Ryan Cearfoss at Fantasy FB Connect. Find me here every Tuesday and occasionally other days. Find me at Going for Two War Room. Find me at the Dynasty Draft Room as well, and I may be coming out with a draft guide for Going for Two.
All right, good stuff. And, of course, y'all know Gerson and Tim as well. If you watch the DFS show during the season, hopefully we have a season this year so we can have a show. Me and Tim did the XFL DFS stuff for about 5 weeks, and then, of course, that got canceled as well. But, Gerson, give us, where we can find you at.
XFL? We got time for that. I'm on the fantasy it's been such a long time since we looked at that page, but the DFS Roundtable / Fantasy G podcast on Facebook, and my Twitter handle is the Fantasy G Pod. I'm mostly on Facebook though, so hit me up on there. I'm excited when football season started. It looks like President Trump said that the football season should start, but you never know.
Never know.
We got to cross our fingers, guys. Here. I'm sure they have no plans to date them. As long as we get the players out there playing, I'm good.
Yep. And for those of y'all that heard him say Fancy G podcast, I promise you that Gerson's got a better studio that he normally uses, and his sound is definitely better than it is tonight. Tonight he sounds like crap, but I think it's because he just moved into a new house, and his studio is not set up. So I promise you, check out his show. It's great. The audio is much better than it is tonight. I promise you that. All right, and my other co-host on the DFS show as well, Mr. Tim Strobel, man, what you got going on?
Yeah, just a couple things, man. First of all, XFL, we mentioned it. I know Gerson doesn't have time for that, but I want to give some time for all the XFL guys that got signed into the NFL. We talked about all through XFL DFS that several of these guys should have been in the league, so I'm glad guys like Parham and got signed. And then obviously we want to see how P.J. Walker does in whether or not he's going to compete with Teddy for that job. So that's always interesting. Two, I just was recapping my picks, and I realized everybody I picked was in the SEC. That was not intentional. Basically, a lot of Alabama, LSU, and Georgia representation here. So apparently I'm an SEC guy, even though I live in Texas. And number three, man, is like Gerson said. With everything going on in the world right now, we want to talk about sports. It's good, but at this point, I'm just hoping that we have a football season. Especially if it starts anywhere on time. Baseball is one thing, but I live for football. Y'all know that. So, if nothing else, man, stay home, be safe, and let's get football started on time.
Amen to that, man. I need that season to definitely happen, man. I don't know what I would do without football. It's what I look forward to all year long. So I agree 100% with that. All right, Jordan, let's go to you next, man. What you got? I know you're, like I said, a big Facebook guy. You got a big Facebook group you're part of. Give us your stuff there.
Yep, so I'm a part of a group on Facebook called the Fantasy Holics. We've recently expanded our content to be more than football, so I currently do an MLB podcast. We're in the NBA, NHL. We're covering WrestleMania right now, so we're all over the board. We're going to have a website coming out in the next month, so we're excited to expand our content. And if you have any baseball fever during quarantine, I still have lots of baseball content, so go ahead and check it out.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
The Fantasy Hall.
Yeah, the
Fantasy
Fantasyholics.
Holics,
Yep. They got I think it's like 33,000 subscribers right now, so they're definitely doing some big things over there. I've been friends with that group there for a while, so good stuff. All right, and Matt, I saved you for last because you were kind of off the grid. You pop up every once in a while and do something. You're not really on Twitter, you're not really on Facebook, but I know you do come on my show every once in a while. But just give us a final thought here on anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, I was the host of the GoingFor2.com NFL sports betting show. Last year we did it all, and then this year I did week 1. We won some money, and then things got hectic, got busy. I'd like to do it again, though. I had a lot of fun with guests. It's just, Jeff, getting podcast guests is so freaking hard, and people cancel on you at the last minute. Yep. It's a train wreck. So it's a lot of stress for not a lot of return, but we'll see if we can get something in the works for next season.
Definitely. I remember that, listening to a couple of those shows there, and y'all did really, really well. I remember that first season. I can't remember how much you were up, as far as your weekly your amounts, but I know y'all killed it pretty much that whole season. So yeah, it was an excellent show when it was on.
Yeah, a little under $8,000.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, as you know, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups as well. The DFS Roundtable is one of them. I'm in DraftKings group. I'm in DLA. You name it. If it's a fancy group, I'm probably in it. I admin a lot of them, so definitely follow me there, guys. Just a quick plug for a few things that we got coming up. On April 14th, we are going to do a rookie mock draft. Some of our friends over at the Dynasty Draft Room are going to come on. They did a 7-round NFL mock draft, and we're going to base our rookie mock draft off their mock draft. So some cool stuff there. Then we have a 4-hour live stream for round 1 of the NFL draft. We got about 25 guests coming on at different times during the show, and we're giving away all kinds of prizes. We've got a fancy football belt to give away. I just secured 4 RotoWear t-shirts today. We have subscriptions to Fantasy Pro, subscriptions to DLF. We got footballs to give away. So definitely check that out, guys. It's a 4-hour live stream. We're going from 8 p.m. to midnight. Me and Ryan and a bunch of guys coming on. We'll probably be hammered by the time the podcast is done.
It's a kick-ass lineup.
It really is. We got some.
It's awesome.
If y'all know what the Fantasy Black Book is, we got Joe Pisapia coming on. He's awesome. We got John Lobb, who everybody loves, coming on the podcast as well. He's a big, college football guy. A lot of energy, super exciting. So it's gonna be a great show, guys. That's gonna be on the first round of the NFL from 8 p.m. to 12. So just put us on in the background. It's going to be an interesting draft this year without being a live show. But if you can tune in to us and just kind of hang out with us for a little bit, we would much appreciate it. All right, guys. For everybody here, I'm Jeff. That's a wrap.
Go, Pack, go!
There it is.
Go,